I found the phone on a Sunday morning. It was hidden in the inside pocket of Daniel's gym bag, a pocket I had never noticed before, tucked behind the main compartment where he kept his workout clothes and protein shakes. I wasn't snooping. I want to make that clear. I was just doing laundry, the way I had done every Sunday for the 7 years of our marriage. Daniel had gone for a run, and I was sorting through his bag, pulling out sweaty shirts and shorts to throw in the wash. My fingers brushed against something hard, something rectangular, something that shouldn't have been there. I pulled it out. A phone. Not Daniel's phone. His iPhone was charging on the nightstand, the same phone he used every day, the phone I knew the passcode to, the phone that had never given me any reason for concern. This was different. This was a cheap prepaid phone, the kind you buy at a gas station, the kind people buy when they don't want to be traced, the kind people buy when they have something to hide. My hands were trembling as I stared at the screen. It was locked, of course, a 4-digit passcode blinking at me like a challenge. I should have put it back. I should have waited for Daniel to come home and asked him about it directly. I should have given him the chance to explain. But something in my gut, something cold and certain, told me that if I put this phone back, I would never see it again. Daniel would hide it better, or destroy it entirely, and I would spend the rest of my life wondering. So I started guessing. His birthday, nothing. My birthday, nothing. Our children's birthdays, nothing. And then, on impulse, I tried our anniversary date. 6:15. The phone unlocked. The home screen was simple, almost empty. Just the basic apps that came with the phone, calculator, calendar, settings. And one messaging app. I opened it. There was only one conversation thread. Thousands of messages, stretching back years, all with a single contact. The contact was saved simply as M. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. My vision was blurring, my hands shaking so badly I could barely scroll. I started reading. The most recent message was from 2 days ago. M, I miss you. When can I see you again? Daniel, soon. V is taking the kids to her dad's next weekend. I'll tell her I have a work thing. M, I hate all this sneaking around. I want to be with you for real. Daniel, I know, baby, soon, I promise, when the time is right. M, you've been saying that for 3 years. Daniel, and I mean it more every day. Just be patient, trust me. 3 years. The words echoed in my skull like a gunshot. 3 years. We had been married for 7, which meant this affair, whatever it was, whoever M was, had been going on for nearly half of our marriage. I kept scrolling. Backward through time, through weeks and months and years of messages. Each one more devastating than the last. Daniel, last night was incredible. I can't stop thinking about you. M, I know, I couldn't sleep. I just kept replaying every moment. Daniel, I wish I could wake up next to you every morning. M, someday, when this is all over. M, she's talking about having another baby. What do I do? Daniel, nothing, just smile and nod. What happens between us is separate from that. M, it doesn't feel separate. It feels like you're building a life with her while I wait in the shadows. Daniel, you're not in the shadows, you're in my heart. That's where you'll always be. Daniel, I almost told her today. M, what stopped you? Daniel, the kids, the house, everything we've built. I can't destroy all of that, not yet. M, so I just keep waiting. Daniel, a little longer, I promise. When the time is right, we'll be together, for real. I kept scrolling, kept reading, kept watching my marriage dissolve with every swipe of my finger. And then I reached the oldest messages. The ones from the very beginning. The date stamp made my blood run cold. December 2019. 6 months before our wedding. Daniel, I can't stop thinking about what happened last night. M, me neither, but we can't do this. She's my sister. Sister. The word detonated in my chest. Sister. No. No, 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 no. I scrolled up frantically, searching for confirmation, praying I had misread, praying there was some other explanation. She trusts me completely. She tells me everything if she ever found out. Daniel, she won't, will be careful. I feel so guilty. She practically raised me after Mom died. She's the best sister anyone could ask for, and I'm doing this to her. Daniel, I know it's complicated, but I can't help how I feel. I want you, I've wanted you since the first time I saw you. What about the wedding? It's in 6 months. Daniel, I'll figure it out. Maybe I'll call it off, or maybe I'll find a way to have both. The phone slipped from my fingers and clattered to the floor. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. I couldn't do anything except stand there, frozen, while my entire world collapsed around me. Wasn't a stranger. Wasn't a coworker or a college friend or someone Daniel had met at the gym. Was Megan, my baby sister. The girl I had raised since she was 12 years old, when our mother died of cancer and our father fell apart, and I had to become the parent while still being a child myself. The woman I had put through college, supported through bad relationships, held through heartbreaks, loved unconditionally for her entire life. The sister I would have died for. She had been sleeping with my husband for 3 years. Since before we were even married. I don't know how long I stood in that laundry room. Minutes, hours, time had stopped making sense. I heard the front door open, heard Daniel's footsteps in the hallway, heard his voice calling out, cheerful and unsuspecting. Babe, I'm back, want me to start breakfast? I looked down at the phone on the floor. Then I looked at myself in the small mirror above the washing machine. A stranger stared back at me. A woman with hollow eyes and a pale face, and a heart that had just been ripped from her chest. I bent down, picked up the phone and slipped it into my pocket. Then I walked out of the laundry room to face my husband. Hey, you okay? Daniel asked, looking at me with concern. You look pale. I studied his face, this face I had loved for nearly a decade. The face I had kissed on our wedding day. The face that had looked into my eyes and promised to love me forever. The face that had been lying to me for 3 years. I'm fine, I heard myself say. Just tired, didn't sleep well. You should take a nap. I'll watch the kids. Kids? Our children. Lily, 5 years old, with her father's dark hair and my green eyes. Noah, 3 years old, all mischief and laughter and boundless energy. They were upstairs, still asleep, innocent and unaware that their family was about to shatter. Maybe I will, I said. I'll lie down for a bit. I walked past Daniel, past the man who had betrayed me with my own sister, and climbed the stairs to our bedroom. I closed the door. I sat on the bed. And I began to plan. I could have confronted him immediately. I could have screamed and cried and thrown the phone at his head. I could have demanded explanations and apologies and promises that it would never happen again. But I knew Daniel. I knew how charming he could be, how persuasive, how skilled at turning situations around, making himself the victim, making me feel like I was overreacting. If I confronted him now, he would find a way to twist this. He would say it was just texting, just emotional, that it never went further. He would say Megan had pursued him, that he was weak, that he had tried to end it. He would say he loved me, only me, that I was the one he chose, that our family was what mattered. And part of me, the part that still loved him, the part that wanted desperately for this to not be real, might believe him. I couldn't let that happen. I needed proof, irrefutable, undeniable proof. And then I needed justice. I waited until Daniel left for work the next morning. He kissed me goodbye like he did every day, a casual peck on the cheek, a distracted love you over his shoulder as he grabbed his keys. The same routine we had followed for 7 years. Except now, I knew what that routine really was. A performance. A mask. A lie. I watched him drive away. Then I went to the bedroom, locked the door, and pulled out the phone. I had photographed everything the night before, every message, every photo, every piece of evidence. I had uploaded it all to a secure cloud account that Daniel didn't know existed. But I hadn't read everything yet. I had barely scratched the surface. Now, with the children at preschool and the house silent around me, I began to read. Really read. Every message, every word, every devastating detail. And what I discovered was worse than anything I had imagined. The affair had started at my own engagement party. I scrolled back to the very first messages, dated December 14, 2019. I remembered that night perfectly, a celebration at my father's house. Family and friends gathered to toast our upcoming wedding. I had been so happy. I had no idea. Daniel, I can't stop thinking about what happened in the kitchen. We were drunk, it didn't mean anything. Daniel, it meant something to me, the way you looked at me, the way you felt when I kissed you. Daniel, stop. Victoria is my sister, your fiancée. This can never happen again. Daniel, what if I don't want it to never happen again? Then you need to figure out what you really want, because you can't have both. But he could. He did. For 3 years, he had both of us. And we never knew. The messages in the months before my wedding were a slow seduction. Daniel pursued Megan relentlessly. She resisted at first, or at least, she pretended to resist. She talked about guilt and loyalty and sisterhood. But her protests grew weaker with each passing week. I told myself I wouldn't respond to you anymore. Daniel, and yet here you are. I don't know what's wrong with me. I love Victoria. She's my best friend. Why can't I stop wanting you? Daniel, because what we have is real. What she and I have is comfortable, convenient, but it's not this. What is this? Daniel, passion, fire, something I've never felt before. She would die if she knew. Daniel, then she can never know. My wedding day. June 15, 2020. The happiest day of my life, or so I had believed. I found the messages from that morning. I'm getting dressed for your wedding. I'm going to watch you marry my sister. How am I supposed to do this? Daniel, by knowing that what we have is deeper than a ceremony. A piece of paper doesn't change how I feel about you. I'm going to stand next to her at the altar. I'm going to smile and hold her flowers and pretend to be happy for her. Daniel, and tonight, after everyone is gone, text me. I'll find a way to call you, even on my wedding night. You're terrible. Daniel, and you love it. God help me, I do. I remembered my wedding day with perfect clarity. The white dress, the flowers, the tears of joy. Megan standing beside me as my maid of honor, helping with my veil, telling me how beautiful I looked. You're going to be so happy, she had said. Daniel is perfect for you. She had hugged me. She had been sleeping with my fiancé for 6 months. And she had smiled at me like nothing was wrong. I kept reading. The messages after the wedding were worse. Daniel and Megan had developed a system, a routine, a secret language that allowed them to communicate right under my nose. Daniel, V is asleep, can you talk? I'm in bed too. She texted me earlier about the honeymoon, said it was magical. Daniel, it was fine, but I spent half of it thinking about you. We're terrible people. Daniel, we're people who found each other. That's not terrible, that's fate. Fate. He called destroying my life fate. I discovered they had met in person dozens of times over the 3 years. Sometimes at hotels, sometimes at Megan's apartment, sometimes, and this made me physically ill, at my own house. Daniel, V is taking Lily to dance class. I'll be alone for 2 hours. I can be there in 20 minutes. Daniel, back door will be unlocked. Come straight to the bedroom. Last night was incredible. I can't believe we did that in her bed. Daniel, I kept thinking about it all through dinner. You across the table, knowing what we had done just hours before. She has no idea. She actually thanked me for coming to dinner, said I'm such a good sister. Daniel, if only she knew. My bed. My house. My dinner table. They had violated every sacred space in my life and laughed about it afterward. The messages about my pregnancies were the ones that finally made me break down. I had 2 children with Daniel. Lily was born in 2021, Noah in 2023. I had thought those were the happiest times of our marriage. I was wrong. She told me today she's pregnant. Daniel, I know, she told me last night. How do you feel? Daniel, complicated, a baby changes things. Does this mean, are you going to end things with me? Daniel, never. You're part of my life, that's not going to change because of a baby. I don't know if I can do this. Watch her be pregnant with your child. Pretend to be excited. Daniel, you can do it. We can do it together. Nothing has to change. Nothing has to change. I was carrying his child, and his primary concern was reassuring his mistress. My sister. She asked me to come to the hospital when she has the baby. She wants me there. Daniel, of course she does. You're her sister. I don't know if I can watch her have your child. Daniel, you'll be fine. And afterward, when things settle down, we'll find time to be together. I promise. I remembered Lily's birth. Megan had been there, holding my hand, coaching me through the contractions. You're doing amazing, she had said. I'm so proud of you. She had been the first to hold my daughter after Daniel and me. She had cried tears of what I thought was joy. Now I knew they were something else entirely. The messages continued through Noah's pregnancy too. Same pattern, same reassurances, same casual cruelty. Another baby. Daniel, what are you doing? Daniel, it just happened. She wanted another one. I couldn't say no without raising suspicion. So you're building a whole family with her while stringing me along. Daniel, I'm not stringing you along. I love you. I've always loved you, but I have responsibilities. When does it end? When do I get to be more than your secret? Daniel, soon, I promise, when the kids are older, when the timing is right. You've been saying that for 2 years. Daniel, and I mean it, just trust me, I have a plan. A plan. He had a plan. I kept scrolling, searching for details. And I found them. Daniel, I've been thinking. When Lily starts school and V goes back to work full-time, things will be easier. She'll be distracted. We'll have more time together. And then what? We just keep hiding forever. Daniel, no. Eventually, I'll find a way out. I'll make her think the divorce was her idea. Plant seeds of doubt, create distance. And when she finally gives up, I'll come to you. That's your plan. Make her miserable until she leaves. Daniel, it's better than a brutal divorce where she takes everything. If she thinks it's her choice, she won't fight as hard. He was planning to destroy me slowly. To gaslight me into thinking our marriage was failing. To manipulate me into ending it myself, so he could escape without consequences. And my sister was helping him. I found the money next. Scattered through the messages were references to transfers, payments, gifts. Daniel, check your account, I sent you something. $5,000. Daniel, that's too much. Daniel, consider it rent help, I know you've been struggling. Victoria keeps offering me money too. She feels guilty that she has more than me. Daniel, take hers too, why not? She can afford it. I had been giving Megan money for years. Rent help, car repairs, student loans. I thought I was being a good sister. I was funding her affair with my husband. I love the necklace. I wore it to Christmas dinner yesterday. Daniel, I noticed, V complimented it. I know, I almost laughed. She has no idea you bought it for me. Daniel, that's what makes it special. Our secret right there in plain sight. I remembered that necklace. A delicate gold chain with a small diamond pendant. Megan had worn it to Christmas dinner at my father's house. I had told her how beautiful it was. She had said she bought it for herself as a self-care gift. It was from my husband. I spent 6 hours reading through those messages. 6 hours of watching my life, my marriage, my family dissolve into lies. By the end, I was empty, hollowed out. Every tear I had cried had dried up. Every emotion I had felt had burned away. All that remained was cold, clear determination. They had stolen 3 years of my life. They would not steal another moment. I didn't confront Daniel that night, or the next night, or the night after that. Instead, I played the role of the perfect wife. I cooked his dinners. I laughed at his jokes. I lay beside him in the bed where he had betrayed me and pretended to sleep while my mind raced with plans. It was the hardest performance of my life. But I had learned something from reading those messages. Daniel was a planner, a manipulator. He had spent 3 years carefully managing 2 relationships, 2 lives, 2 women who trusted him completely. If I confronted him now, emotional, unprepared, armed with nothing but a secret phone, he would find a way to twist it. He would minimize, deny, gaslight. He would say the messages were taken out of context. He would claim it was just texting, just fantasy, that nothing physical ever happened. He would turn it around on me. Why was I snooping through his things? Didn't I trust him? And Megan would back him up. She would cry and apologize and beg for forgiveness. She would say it was a moment of weakness, a terrible mistake. She would say she never meant to hurt me. And our father, the man who had raised us, who loved us both, would be caught in the middle, pressured to forgive, to keep the family together. No. I needed to make this airtight. I needed evidence so overwhelming that there could be no denial. I needed to destroy them both so completely that they could never recover. The first call I made was to a divorce attorney. Her name was Catherine Reynolds. She had been recommended by a colleague at work, a woman who had gone through a brutal divorce 2 years earlier and come out with her dignity and her assets intact. She's ruthless, my colleague had said, but fair. She'll fight for you like a lioness. I called Catherine's office on a Tuesday morning, while Daniel was at work and the children were at preschool. "Mrs. Mitchell," Catherine said when I was finally patched through, "how can I help you?" I took a deep breath. I need to divorce my husband, and I need to destroy him. There was a pause. "Tell me more." So I did. I told her everything, the secret phone, the messages, the 3-year affair, the fact that the other woman was my own sister. When I finished, Catherine was quiet for a long moment. "Mrs. Mitchell," she finally said, "I've been practicing family law for 23 years. I've seen every kind of betrayal you can imagine, but I have to say this is one of the worst. Can you help me?" "Absolutely, but we need to be strategic. You have the messages, which is excellent, but we need more. Financial records, proof of money he gave to your sister, documentation of how long this has been going on and how it's affected your marriage." "What do you need me to do?" "First, don't confront him. Not yet. Let him think everything is normal. The more comfortable he feels, the more careless he'll be. And second, I'm going to connect you with a forensic accountant, someone who specializes in tracing hidden assets and financial infidelity. If your husband has been giving money to your sister, we'll find every penny. And then," Catherine's voice hardened, "and then we take everything." The forensic accountant's name was David Chen. He was a quiet man with sharp eyes and a methodical approach that reminded me of a surgeon. He didn't waste words. He didn't offer sympathy. He simply asked for access to our financial records and got to work. "I need bank statements," he said during our first meeting. "Credit card bills, tax returns, investment accounts, anything that shows where money has been going for the past 3 years. "I have access to most of our accounts," I said. "Daniel handles the finances, but everything is in both our names." "Good, download everything you can. Print it out, bring it to me." "What are you looking for?" "Patterns, transfers to accounts you don't recognize, cash withdrawals that don't match your spending habits, Purchases that don't show up in your home. If he's been supporting your sister, there will be a trail. There's always a trail. I spent the next 2 weeks gathering evidence. Every night after Daniel fell asleep, I crept downstairs to his home office. I photographed bank statements. I downloaded credit card records. I printed out tax returns and investment summaries. I was careful, meticulous. I left no trace of my investigation. And I discovered things that made my blood boil. Daniel had a separate credit card. I found the statements buried in a folder labeled business expenses. The card was in his name only, linked to an account I had never seen. The charges told a story. Hotels, restaurants, jewelry stores. A women's boutique called Silhouette where nothing cost less than $500. None of these purchases had ever appeared in our home. They had all gone to Megan. David Chen confirmed what I suspected. Your husband has been transferring money to an external account for the past 3 years, he said, spreading documents across his desk. Small amounts at first, a few hundred here and there, but it escalated. In the last year alone, he's moved over $47,000. To Megan. The account is in her name, yes, Megan Sullivan, your sister. Hearing it spoken aloud, her full name, her relationship to me, made it real in a way that the messages hadn't. There's more, David continued. He's been claiming these transfers as loans on his personal financial records, but there's no loan documentation, no repayment schedule, no interest. These weren't loans, they were gifts. How much total? David consulted his notes. Over the past 3 years, approximately $127,000. I felt the number hit me like a physical blow. $127,000. That was money from our joint accounts, money that should have gone to our children's education, money that should have secured our future. He had given it to my sister, to fund their affair, to keep her comfortable while she waited for him to destroy me. Catherine Reynolds was pleased with the evidence. This is excellent, she said, flipping through the documents I had brought. Financial infidelity on this scale, combined with the messages, any judge will see this for what it is, a systematic betrayal of your marriage. What happens now? Now we prepare. I'm going to draft divorce papers. We'll file them the moment you're ready to go public. In the meantime, I want you to start thinking about what you want. What I want. From the divorce, the house, custody of the children, alimony, division of assets, we need to decide what you're going to fight for. I thought about it. I want the house. I want full custody. I want him to pay for what he's done, not just financially, but publicly. I want everyone to know what kind of man he is. And your sister. I felt something cold settle in my chest. I want her to lose everything too. Every friend, every family member, every shred of the life she built while betraying me. Catherine nodded slowly. That can be arranged, but it's going to require a public confrontation. Are you prepared for that? I thought about Megan, about the little girl I had raised after our mother died, about the woman who had smiled at my wedding while sleeping with my fiancé. Yes, I said, I'm prepared. I spent the next month planning. Catherine finalized the divorce papers. David completed his financial analysis. I gathered every piece of evidence I could find, messages, photos, bank records, credit card statements. I created a timeline, a narrative, a complete picture of the 3-year affair, documented with irrefutable proof. And I chose my moment. My father's birthday was coming up. He was turning 70, a milestone that called for a celebration. The whole family would be there. Aunts, uncles, cousins, and of course Megan. It was perfect. I called my father a week before the party. Dad, I want to do something special for your birthday. Let me host it at our house. A big dinner, the whole family. That's very generous, sweetheart. Are you sure it's not too much trouble? Not at all. You deserve it. 70 is a big deal. Well, if you insist, I'll let everyone know. Perfect. And Dad, make sure Megan comes. I know she's been busy, but I really want her there. Of course, she wouldn't miss it. I hung up and smiled. No, she wouldn't miss it. And neither would anyone else. The night before the party, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed beside Daniel, staring at the ceiling, running through my plan one more time. Tomorrow, I would serve dinner to my entire family. Tomorrow, I would smile and pour wine and pretend everything was normal. And then, after dessert, I would reveal the truth. I would play the voice messages I had saved from the phone, Daniel telling Megan he loved her, Megan laughing about deceiving me. I would show the photos, intimate selfies they had exchanged, pictures of them together at hotels and restaurants. I would read the messages aloud, every cruel word, every calculated lie, every casual destruction of my trust. And I would watch them both crumble. Daniel stirred beside me. "You okay, babe?" he mumbled. "You seem tense." "Just excited about tomorrow," I said. "I want everything to be perfect for Dad." "It will be. You always throw great parties." He kissed my shoulder and rolled over, falling back asleep within seconds. I stared at his back. This man I had loved, this man I had trusted, this man I had built a life with. Tomorrow, I would destroy him. And I felt nothing but cold, clear satisfaction. The day of my father's 70th birthday arrived with perfect autumn weather. Golden sunlight, crisp air, leaves drifting gently from the trees in our backyard. It should have been a beautiful day. Instead, it would be the day I burned my family to the ground. I woke early and started preparing. The house looked immaculate, fresh flowers on every table, the good china set out, candles waiting to be lit. A catering team had delivered trays of appetizers and a beautiful 3-tier cake with "Happy 70th, Dad," written in elegant script. Daniel came downstairs around 9, yawning and stretching. "Wow, babe, you've really outdone yourself." "I wanted everything to be perfect," I said, keeping my voice light. "Dad deserves a special day." "He's going to love it. Need any help?" "Actually, yes. Can you pick up the wine? I ordered a case from that shop downtown. They're holding it for us." "Sure thing." He kissed my cheek and grabbed his keys. I watched him leave, knowing it was the last time he would walk out of this house as my husband. The guests started arriving around 4. My father came first, looking distinguished in a navy blazer, his white hair neatly combed. He hugged me tight. "The house looks beautiful, sweetheart. You didn't have to do all this." "Of course I did. You only turned 70 once." Aunts and uncles filtered in next, cousins with their children, family friends who had known my father for decades. And then at 4:47 p.m., Megan arrived. She was wearing a green dress that I recognized. I had complimented it last month when she showed me a picture. She looked beautiful, radiant, not a trace of guilt on her face. "Victoria," she hugged me warmly. "Everything looks amazing. You're such an incredible hostess." I hugged her back, feeling her body against mine, smelling her perfume, knowing what she had done. "I'm so glad you could make it," I said. "It wouldn't be the same without you." "I wouldn't miss it for the world." She had no idea. None of them did. Daniel returned with the wine, shortly after Megan arrived. I watched them carefully, looking for signs, a lingering glance, a secret touch, anything that would confirm what I already knew. They were careful, professional almost. They barely acknowledged each other, keeping a safe distance, playing their roles perfectly. They had been doing this for 3 years. They were good at it, but not good enough. Dinner was served at 6. I had arranged the seating carefully. Daniel at one end of the table, Megan near the middle, surrounded by cousins, my father at the head, beaming with happiness. The meal was perfect: roasted chicken with herbs, garlic mashed potatoes, green beans with almonds, a fresh salad with homemade vinaigrette. Conversation flowed easily. Laughter filled the room. My father told stories from his younger days, and everyone listened with genuine affection. I smiled and nodded and played the gracious hostess. But inside, I was counting the minutes. Dessert was served at 7:30. The cake was brought out with candles blazing. Everyone sang, "Happy birthday." My father made a wish and blew out the candles to applause. I stood up. "Before we cut the cake," I said, my voice steady, "I'd like to say a few words about my father." Everyone turned to look at me. Daniel smiled encouragingly. Megan raised her wine glass. "Dad, you've been an incredible father. After Mom died, you held our family together. You worked 2 jobs to put me through college. You walked me down the aisle at my wedding. You've been there for every important moment of my life." My father's eyes glistened. "But more than that," I continued, "you taught me the importance of honesty, of integrity, of facing difficult truths even when they're painful." I paused, "Which is why I need to share something with all of you tonight." The room went quiet. Daniel's smile faltered. Megan's hand froze on her wine glass. "Something has been happening in this family," I said. "Something that has been hidden for a very long time, and I think it's time everyone knew the truth." I pulled out my phone. 3 weeks ago, I found a secret phone in my husband's gym bag. Daniel's face went pale. A phone with 3 years of messages, intimate messages, love messages, messages with someone saved in his contacts as M. I looked directly at Megan. M is for Megan, my sister. The room erupted. Gasps, whispered confusion. My father's face twisted with disbelief. "Victoria, what are you?" Daniel started. "Don't," my voice was ice. "Don't say a word. I have everything, every message, every photo, every confession." I pressed play on the first voice message I had saved. Daniel's voice filled the room. "I miss you so much. Last night was incredible. I can't stop thinking about you." Then Megan's voice. "I know. I wish we didn't have to hide. I hate pretending around Victoria. Soon, baby. When the time is right, we'll be together for real." The message ended. Silence. Absolute, devastating silence. "That was from 6 months ago," I said calmly. "But the affair started long before that." I scrolled to another message. "This one is from the week before our wedding." I pressed play. Daniel's voice again. "I almost told her today, but then I looked at you across the table at dinner, and I knew I can't give you up. I'll figure out a way to have both." Megan's voice. "She's my sister. I should feel guilty. But when I'm with you, I don't feel anything except happy." I watched my father's face as the voices played. He looked like he had been shot. "Victoria, please," Megan started, rising from her chair. "Sit down." My voice cracked like a whip. Megan froze. "You don't get to speak," I said. "Not yet. Not until everyone here knows exactly what you did." I pulled out the printed messages, pages and pages of them, organized chronologically. December 2019. The affair begins, 6 months before my wedding. I read aloud. "M, we can't do this. She's my sister." "Daniel, I can't help how I feel. I want you. M, I've wanted you since the first time I saw you." "M, what about the wedding?" "Daniel, maybe I'll find a way to have both." My aunt covered her mouth with her hand. My cousin looked like she was going to be sick. My father sat perfectly still, his face gray. I kept reading. The messages from our wedding day. "M, I'm going to stand next to her at the altar. I'm going to smile and hold her flowers and pretend to be happy for her. Daniel, and tonight, after everyone is gone, text me. I'll find a way to call you, even on my wedding night." The messages from my pregnancies. "M, she's pregnant. How am I supposed to watch her have your baby?" "Daniel, nothing has to change. You're part of my life. That's not going to change because of a baby." The messages about money. "Daniel, check your account. I sent you something." "M, $5,000. That's too much." "Daniel, consider it rent help. Victoria can afford it." The messages about their plans. "Daniel, I'll make her think the divorce was her idea. Plant seeds of doubt, create distance, and when she finally gives up, I'll come to you." When I finished reading, The room was silent. Tears were streaming down faces. Hands were covering mouths. Eyes were fixed on Daniel and Megan with horror and disgust. Daniel finally spoke. "Victoria, please, let me explain." "Explain what?" I demanded. "Explain how you slept with my sister for 3 years. Explain how you planned to gaslight me into a divorce. Explain how you gave her $127,000 of our family's money while I was raising your children." $127,000, someone gasped. "That's what the forensic accountant found," I said. "Money from our joint accounts. Money that should have gone to our children. He gave it to her, to keep her comfortable while she waited for him to destroy me." Daniel's face crumbled. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I'm so sorry." "You're sorry you got caught," I said. "That's not the same thing." I turned to Megan. She was crying now, ugly, heaving sobs that shook her entire body. "And you," I said, "my baby sister, the girl I raised after Mom died, the woman I put through college, the person I would have died for. Victoria, please. I held you when you cried about your failed relationships. I gave you money when you couldn't pay your bills. I trusted you with my children, my home, my entire life." My voice broke. "And you repaid me by sleeping with my husband in my own bed." Megan collapsed into herself, sobbing. "I'm sorry," she wailed. "I'm so sorry, I never meant." "You never meant to get caught, just like him." My father stood up. His face was terrible, a mask of grief and rage and devastation. He walked slowly toward Megan. She looked up at him, her face streaked with tears and ruined makeup. "Daddy." "Don't." His voice was quiet, deadly quiet. "Don't call me that." He stood over her, his body trembling. "Your mother died when you were 12 years old. Victoria gave up her teenage years to raise you. She sacrificed everything so you could have a good life. And this is how you repay her." "I didn't mean." "You destroyed your own sister." His voice cracked. "You looked her in the eyes every day for 3 years and lied to her face. You smiled at her wedding while you were sleeping with her husband. You held her bobbies while you were planning to steal their father." Megan reached for his hand. He pulled away like her touch was poison. "You're not my daughter anymore," he said. "As of today, I have one child. Victoria, you don't exist to me." He turned and walked back to his seat. Megan crumpled to the floor, sobbing. I looked at Daniel. "I'm filing for divorce tomorrow. You'll be served at your office. Don't bother coming home tonight. I've had the locks changed. Your things will be packed and sent to whatever hole you crawl into. Victoria, please, the kids. Don't you dare mention our children. You forfeited the right to use them as leverage the moment you chose to betray our family." I reached into my pocket and pulled out the divorce papers Catherine had prepared. I dropped them on the table in front of him. "You can sign willingly, or we can do this the hard way. Either way, I'm taking everything. The house, custody, alimony, everything." Daniel stared at the papers, his face ashen. "And one more thing," I added. "I want every penny back. The $127,000 you gave to Megan. It comes out of your share of the settlement, or we can let a judge decide how to handle financial fraud." He said nothing. There was nothing left to say. The party ended in silence. One by one, the guests gathered their things and left. Some hugged me. Some couldn't even meet my eyes. All of them walked past Daniel and Megan like they were invisible, or worse, like they were contagious. My father was the last to leave. He stood in the doorway, his 70-year-old frame looking suddenly fragile, diminished by the weight of what he had learned. "I'm sorry, Victoria," he said quietly. "I'm sorry you had to carry this alone." "I wasn't alone, Dad. I had you. I've always had you." He pulled me into a hug, a long, tight embrace that said everything words couldn't. "You're stronger than anyone I know," he whispered. "Your mother would be so proud of you." I held on to him, feeling like a child again, wishing I could go back to a time when my biggest problem was homework or a scraped knee. But I couldn't go back. I could only go forward. Daniel left that night. He packed a single suitcase. I watched from the bedroom window as he loaded it into his car, his movements slow and defeated. He looked up at the house once, as if hopping I might appear might give him one last chance to explain. I stayed hidden behind the curtain. He got in his car and drove away. And just like that, 7 years of marriage ended. Not with a dramatic fight or tearful reconciliation attempts, but with a single suitcase and the soft sound of tires on pavement. It was almost anticlimactic. Almost. Megan tried to contact me the next day. 17 phone calls, 23 text messages, 2 voicemails that I deleted without listening. Then she showed up at my door. I watched her through the security camera. Ironic, really, that the same technology that had saved my friend in a similar situation was now helping me avoid my own sister. She stood on the porch for 20 minutes, ringing the doorbell, knocking, calling my name. "Victoria, please just let me explain. I know you hate me, but please, I need to talk to you. I need you to understand." I said nothing. Eventually, she left. She came back the next day, and the day after that. On the 4th day, I had Catherine send her a cease and desist letter. She didn't come back after that. The divorce proceedings moved quickly. Daniel didn't fight. He couldn't. The evidence was too overwhelming, the public humiliation too complete. His own family had seen the messages. His colleagues at work had heard the rumors. His reputation was in tatters. Catherine was ruthless. She presented the financial records to the court, every transfer to Megan, every secret credit card purchase, every dollar he had stolen from our family to fund his affair. The judge was not sympathetic. "Mr. Mitchell," she said, reviewing the evidence, "in my 20 years on the bench, I have rarely seen such a calculated betrayal of marital trust. You didn't just cheat on your wife, you systematically defrauded her, diverted marital assets to your mistress, and planned to manipulate her into accepting an unfair settlement." Daniel stared at the table in front of him, unable to meet her eyes. "It is the ruling of this court that the marital assets be divided as follows. I got everything. The house, full custody of the children, with Daniel receiving only supervised visitation. Alimony of $6,500 per month for 10 years. His retirement accounts, split 70-30 in my favor. And full restitution of the $127,000 he had given to Megan, to be paid from his share of the settlement before any division." Daniel's lawyer tried to object. "Your Honor, this is punitive." "This is just," the judge interrupted. "Your client committed financial fraud against his own family. He's lucky I'm not referring this matter for criminal prosecution." Daniel signed the papers without another word. The social fallout was even more devastating than the legal one. Word spread quickly. In our community, a tight-knit suburb where everyone knew everyone, the story of Daniel and Megan's affair became the scandal of the year. People I barely knew stopped me at the grocery store to express their shock and sympathy. "I can't believe it," one neighbor said. "Your own sister, that's unforgivable." "She seemed so sweet," another commented. "I never would have guessed." "He always seemed like such a good guy," a third observed. "Just goes to show you never really know people." I accepted their condolences graciously, even as I wished I could disappear. I hadn't wanted this level of public attention. I had wanted justice, yes, but I hadn't anticipated becoming the central figure in a community-wide drama. Daniel's career suffered. He worked in finance, an industry built on trust and reputation. When his colleagues learned what he had done, the whispers started. Clients requested to be reassigned to other managers. Partners avoided him in meetings. The promotions he had been working toward evaporated. 6 months after the divorce, he was encouraged to resign. I heard through mutual friends that he had moved to another city, started over at a smaller firm, tried to rebuild his life in a place where no one knew his history. I didn't feel sorry for him. I didn't feel anything at all. Megan's destruction was more complete. My father was true to his word. He cut her off entirely, removed her from his will, blocked her phone number, refused to acknowledge her existence. Our extended family followed his lead. Aunts and uncles who had watched us grow up together chose sides, and they chose me. Cousins who had been close to Megan stopped returning her calls. Family gatherings no longer included an invitation for her. She was erased. It was as if she had never been part of our family at all. I heard updates occasionally, through the grapevine of mutual acquaintances. She lost her job. Apparently, the story had reached her workplace, and her employer decided they didn't want someone with that kind of character representing their company. She lost her apartment. Without Daniel's financial support and without a job, she couldn't afford the rent. She moved in with a friend, then another friend, then another, burning through relationships the way she had burned through ours. She tried to date, but in our interconnected world, word traveled fast. Men learned about her history and disappeared. The ones who stayed were not the kind of men who treated women well. I heard she started drinking, heavily, that she had been seen at bars, alone, nursing glasses of wine and staring at nothing. Part of me, a small, distant part, almost felt sorry for her. But then I remembered the messages. She has no idea. She actually thanked me for coming to dinner, said I'm such a good sister. I wore that necklace you gave me to Christmas dinner. She complimented it. She has no idea you bought it for me. I almost laughed. I can't believe we did that in her bed. And the sympathy evaporated. She had made her choices. Now she was living with them. The children were my priority. Lily was 5. Noah was 3. They were too young to understand the details, but they sensed that something fundamental had changed. "Where's Daddy?" Lily asked the morning after Daniel left. "Daddy doesn't live here anymore, sweetheart, but he still loves you very much and you'll see him soon." "Why doesn't he live here?" "Because sometimes mommies and daddies decide it's better to live in different houses. But that doesn't change how much we both love you." She accepted this explanation with the resilience of childhood. Noah, at 3, barely noticed the absence. He was too young to have formed the same attachments. They adjusted, slowly, painfully, but they adjusted. I enrolled them both in therapy, a child psychologist who specialized in helping kids process divorce. They met with her once a week, drawing pictures and playing games that helped them express feelings they didn't have words for. "They're doing well," the therapist assured me. "Children are resilient. As long as they feel loved and secure, they'll be okay." I made sure they felt both. Daniel's supervised visits were awkward at first. He came every other Saturday, meeting the kids at a neutral location with a court-appointed supervisor present. He was allowed 2 hours, 2 hours to maintain some semblance of a relationship with the children he had nearly abandoned for my sister. I didn't attend these visits. I couldn't. Seeing him would have been too painful. But I watched the children closely afterward, looking for signs of distress. "How was your time with Daddy?" I would ask. "Good," Lily would say. "We went to the park. He pushed me on the swings." "He got me ice cream," Noah would add. They seemed okay. Not happy exactly, but not damaged either. I supposed that was the best I could hope for. My father came over every Sunday. He brought groceries. He helped with repairs around the house. He played with the grandchildren in the backyard, chasing them through the leaves, pushing them on the swing set. But there was a sadness in him that hadn't been there before. "I keep thinking about where I went wrong," he told me one evening after the kids were in bed. "How did I raise a daughter who could do something like this?" "You didn't do anything wrong, Dad. Megan made her own choices." "But I should have seen it, should have noticed something was off." "None of us saw it. She was too good at hiding." He shook his head slowly. "I lost your mother, and now I've lost Megan. You and those kids are all I have left." I took his hand. "We're not going anywhere, Dad. I promise." A year passed. Then another. Slowly, the raw wound of betrayal began to scar over. I stopped thinking about Daniel every day, stopped replaying the messages in my mind, stopped wondering how I had missed the signs. I focused on my work, On my children. On building a life that didn't include the people who had tried to destroy me. I was healing. Not healed, I'm not sure that wound will ever fully close, but healing, growing stronger with each passing day. And then, one ordinary Tuesday, something unexpected happened. I met someone. His name was Michael. We met at a school fundraiser, one of those awkward events where parents stand around making small talk while children run wild in the gymnasium. I was manning the bake sale table, arranging cupcakes I had stress-baked at 3 a.m, when he approached. "Those look incredible," he said, pointing at the chocolate cupcakes with raspberry frosting. "Did you make them?" "Guilty," I admitted. "Baking is my therapy." He smiled, a warm, genuine smile that reached his eyes. "Then you must be very well adjusted, because these look like they came from a professional bakery." I laughed, actually laughed. It had been so long since I had laughed with a stranger that the sound surprised me. "I'm Michael," he said, extending his hand. "My daughter is in Lily's class, Emma. They've had a few playdates." I remembered Emma, a sweet girl with curly red hair who had come to our house twice. I had met her mother briefly, a tired-looking woman who had dropped her off and picked her up without much conversation. "I'm Victoria," I said, shaking his hand. "Lily's mom." "I know who you are," he said. "Lily talks about you constantly. According to Emma, you're the coolest mom ever because you let them make slime in the kitchen." I smiled at the memory. It was a disaster, slime everywhere, but they were so happy. That's what matters, right? The happiness. The mess can always be cleaned up. Something about the way he said it, simple, sincere, without any hidden agenda, made me feel safe. I hadn't felt safe with a man in a very long time. We talked for 2 hours that night. Long after the bake sale ended and the gymnasium emptied out, we stood by the cupcake table, sharing stories about parenthood and divorce and starting over. Michael had been through it too. His wife had left him 4 years ago, not for another man, but for another life. She had decided she didn't want to be a mother anymore, didn't want to be married, didn't want any of the responsibilities she had signed up for. She just left, he said, his voice carrying old pain. One day Emma had a mother and the next day she didn't. No explanation, no goodbye, just gone. "I'm so sorry," I said. "That must have been devastating." It was. For a long time I was angry, then sad, then numb. But eventually I realized I had to keep going, for Emma. She needed at least one parent who showed up. I nodded slowly. "I understand that, the showing up. Sometimes it's the hardest part. And sometimes it's the only thing that matters." He looked at me with those warm eyes, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. We exchanged phone numbers that night. Over the following weeks, we texted, then called, then met for coffee while the kids were at school. I was cautious, terrified, really. The last time I had trusted a man, he had betrayed me with my own sister. The last time I had opened my heart, it had been shattered into a million pieces. But Michael was patient. He didn't push, didn't pressure, didn't try to rush me into anything I wasn't ready for. "I know you've been hurt," he said one afternoon, as we sat on a park bench watching leaves drift down from the trees. "I can see it in your eyes sometimes, this guardedness, this fear." Is it that obvious? Only to someone who's been there. He turned to face me. "I'm not going to hurt you, Victoria. I can't promise that nothing bad will ever happen. Life doesn't work that way. But I can promise that I will always be honest with you. Always." I looked at him, this kind, gentle man who had somehow wandered into my broken life. "I want to believe you," I said quietly. "I'm just not sure I know how to trust anymore." "Then let me earn it," he said. "Day by day, step by step, however long it takes." It took time. Months of slow, careful progress. Months of learning to open up again, to believe that not everyone would betray me, to accept that love didn't have to mean pain. Michael was true to his word. He was honest, consistent, present. He showed up when he said he would. He called when he said he would. He never made me feel like I was asking too much by needing reassurance. The children loved him. Lily adored Emma, and the two girls became inseparable. Noah followed Michael around like a puppy, fascinated by this new adult who built Lego towers and made silly voices and always had time for one more game. My father approved too. "He's a good man," Dad said, after meeting Michael for the first time. "I can see it in the way he treats you, the way he treats the kids." "It's still early," I cautioned. "I don't want to rush into anything." "I'm not saying rush. I'm saying don't close yourself off either. You deserve happiness, sweetheart. After everything you've been through, you deserve someone who treats you right." A year after we met, Michael proposed. It was simple. No elaborate production. No surprise spectators. Just the two of us, on the same park bench where we had first talked about trust, with autumn leaves falling around us like confetti. "Victoria," he said, taking my hands in his, "I know you've been hurt. I know trust doesn't come easy for you anymore. But I want you to know that I see you. The real you. The strong, brave, incredible woman who raised two kids while her world was falling apart. The woman who refused to let betrayal define her. The woman who chose to keep going, to keep loving, to keep hopping, even when it would have been easier to give up." Tears were streaming down my face. "I don't want to replace what you had before," he continued. "I want to build something new, something better, something that's just ours." He pulled out a small velvet box. "Will you marry me?" I looked at the ring, a simple diamond on a gold band. Nothing flashy, nothing extravagant, just beautiful in its simplicity. I thought about Daniel, about Megan, about the 3 years of lies that had nearly destroyed me. And then I thought about Michael, about the 2 years of healing that had brought me here, about the future that was waiting, full of possibilities I had never imagined. "Yes," I whispered. "Yes, I'll marry you." He slipped the ring on my finger, and I felt something I had thought I would never feel again. Cole. We got married the following spring. A small ceremony in my father's backyard, just family and close friends. The children stood beside us, Lily and Emma as flower girls, Noah as the world's most energetic ring bearer. My father walked me down the aisle, his eyes glistening with tears. "Your mother would be so proud," he whispered. "So proud of who you've become." I kissed his cheek. "Thank you, Dad, for everything." Megan was not invited. I hadn't spoken to her in over 2 years, hadn't seen her face, hadn't heard her voice. Sometimes I wondered about her, where she was, what she was doing, whether she ever thought about what she had lost. I heard updates occasionally, through distant relatives who still kept in touch, through the grapevine of our small community. She had moved away, left the state entirely, started over somewhere no one knew her history. I hoped she had found help. I hoped she had gotten therapy, addressed whatever broken part of her had made her capable of such betrayal. But I didn't reach out. I couldn't. Some wounds are too deep to heal. Some betrayals are too fundamental to forgive. Some relationships are too destroyed to rebuild. Megan was my sister. She had been my sister for 32 years, and now she was nothing. That was the reality I had learned to accept. 3 years have passed since I found that secret phone. 3 years since I discovered that my husband and my sister had been betraying me together. 3 years since my world shattered and I had to rebuild it from scratch. I am 39 years old now. My hair has a few gray strands that I don't bother hiding. My face has lines that weren't there before, lines of grief, lines of strength, lines that tell the story of everything I've survived. But my eyes are clear, my heart is full, my life is good. I have a husband who loves me, children who are thriving, a career that fulfills me, a father who is my rock, friends who stood by me through the darkest time. I have everything I need. And I have something else too. Peace. Not the peace of forgetting. I will never forget what Daniel and Megan did. Not the peace of forgiving. I'm not sure forgiveness is possible for a betrayal this deep. But the peace of acceptance. The peace of knowing that I survived. The peace of understanding that their choices were about them, not about me. I am not what happened to me. I am what I chose to become afterward. If you've made it this far, I want to thank you. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for walking with me through the discovery, the investigation, the confrontation, the destruction, the healing. Thank you for staying until the end. I know that many of you watching have your own stories, your own secret phones, your own hidden messages, your own sisters or brothers or friends who betrayed you in ways you never imagined possible. I want you to know something. You are not alone. You are not stupid for trusting people who turned out to be unworthy of that trust. You are not weak for being devastated when the people you loved most turned out to be monsters. You are human. And being human means loving deeply, trusting completely, and sometimes being hurt by the very people who should have protected you. But I also want you to know this. You will survive. I didn't believe that at first. In those dark days after I found the phone, I couldn't imagine a future. I couldn't imagine laughing again, loving again, trusting again. But I was wrong. The future came anyway. It came with therapy and support and a stubborn refusal to let their betrayal define me. It came with new love and rebuilt relationships and a life I never expected but am grateful for every day. Your future is coming too. It might not look like mine. It might not include a second marriage or a reconciliation with family. It might look completely different. But it's coming. And it will be better than you can imagine right now. My husband's secret phone had 3 years of messages, all to my younger sister. Finding that phone was the worst moment of my life. But it was also the beginning of my liberation. Because as long as I was living in that lie, as long as Daniel and Megan were deceiving me, I was trapped in a marriage that wasn't real, a sisterhood that was poison, a life that was built on sand. Finding the truth forced me to rebuild on solid ground. And the life I built is stronger than anything they could have destroyed. So here's my question for you. What secrets are hiding in your life? What truths are you afraid to uncover? What phones are tucked away in gym bags, waiting to shatter your world? I'm not telling you to go looking for pain. I'm not telling you to become suspicious of everyone you love. But I am telling you to trust yourself. If something feels wrong, investigate. If someone is acting strange, pay attention. If your gut tells you that the life you're living isn't what it appears to be, listen. Because the truth, no matter how painful, is always better than a beautiful lie. The lie will destroy you slowly, from the inside out. The truth will hurt like hell, but then it will set you free. My name is Victoria. I was betrayed by my husband and my sister, and I survived. More than survived. I thrived. I built a new life, a new family, a new future. I found love again when I thought my heart was permanently broken. I learned to trust again when I thought trust was impossible. I became the woman I was always meant to be. And that woman, scarred but whole, wounded but healed, broken but rebuilt, is someone I'm finally proud of. If this story meant something to you, please subscribe to the channel. Share it with someone who might need to hear it. Leave a comment telling me your own story. I read every single one, and every single one matters. And remember, no matter what secrets you've discovered, no matter what betrayals you're facing, no matter how shattered you feel right now, you can survive this. You can rebuild. You can find happiness again. I did. And so can you. This is Victoria. And that's my story. Until next time, take care of yourselves. And take care of each other.